see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, I'm from Brooklyn. Hey, guys, any?
This is Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good Friday evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Northeast Streaming Sports at Night with your host, Sonja. What a great week it has been. This is Friday, February 9th, 2024, and I'm still just, maintaining throughout and celebrating the big birthday all week on location where I am, but not to miss some of you. Welcome to the show. Say hello, drop in. Y'all, I got another special treat for you. So last night, I had another cohort from the NFC South on here, Mr. Kevin Davis, that was a fan of the Atlanta Falcons. And tonight, I have with me none other than a New Orleans Saints fan, Mr. James Martin. Hi, James. How are you?
How are you? I'm great. Thank you.
Yes, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you are a Saints fan.
Well, I was born and raised in New Orleans. I live, breathe black and gold. There's no other team for me. There's no other team that I hate most than the Atlanta Falcons. But coincidentally, I live in Atlanta. My wife is originally from Atlanta. We both lived in New Orleans for a short time and moved to Atlanta in about 2006. And I've been here ever since. But again, I'm a diehard Saints fan, and I live in a city filled with dirty birds all around me.
Yeah, and trust me, I know the feeling with me being a Panthers fan living in the same city, but it's good to know that I'm not the only rival in the city, me and the Panthers, what have you. So the Saints, we're going to talk a little bit tonight about the Saints. Nothing scripted, just a conversation about, your coaching, your confidence in your quarterback. Nice time, and then we'll kind of wrap up with your thoughts on the Super Bowl, your prediction, and we may even touch a little bit about other NFC South teams such as Tampa Bay and my Panthers, and the Falcons may even come into play. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited that you're here. And thank you, everyone that is coming on, joining us right now. Hello. Erlene says hello. Hello, Erlene. My sister out of Virginia. And Kevin is on here saying rise up. So hi, Kevin. Thank you for joining us. So let's just jump right into it. We have a quick, I say 58 minutes by the time you play the credits and everything. The New Orleans Saints. Now, the NFC South as a whole right now was literally like a crab barrel race, with the exception of the Panthers. We were not even competitive this year at all. And so I am still representing my team, Carolina Panthers, the fan I started. But let me ask you this. Was there ever a belief that the New Orleans Saints would claim the NFC South?
Yes. In the beginning, I think every year we felt like we would claim the NFC South. I mean, as the previous experience, the Saints were the dominant team of the division for quite some time. And even though Sean Payton left, I felt like he left, we had a great stable of players. We're talking about Alvin Kamara. Even though Michael Thomas has been hurt, the potential of him coming back, we had a good draft. We had Chris Olave. And then, of course, we got another quarterback. We got Derek Carr from the Las Vegas Raiders. And I thought we had a good chance because the division was for the taking. You guys, you had a rookie quarterback, Tampa Bay. We weren't too sure about Baker Mayfield. And, of course, the quarterback situation in Atlanta, we know what that was. And so, right. And with the season, we thought that with the schedule, we thought we had a relatively easy schedule. and that we would be able to win with these. But of course, there were some other issues with injuries and some internal strife, that kind of thing going on.
Yeah, and so and I'm gonna be honest with you. I know when they were talking about strength rankings before the season really got underway, like you said, kind of process of elimination for the South with the Panthers having a rookie quarterback, not only the rookie quarterback, but the O-line that we have. I honestly thought that we'd be okay, but then somebody reminded me, like, girl, we got a bad O-line. So that's it right there. And you look at Tampa Bay, who had Baker Mayfield from the Rams. I think he had gone out there for a little bit and then came back and went to Tampa after he left Carolina. But the Saints getting Derek Carr, the Derek Carr that we saw of yesteryear, I didn't really see that much of him in New Orleans this year. What do you think, going forward? Is that going to be the quarterback you all stick with? Or, what are you guys trying to do as far as the quarterback position?
Well, I'll say at this point, we're sticking with Derek Carr, good, bad, or indifferent, because we paid him a lot of money. And not only did they pay him a lot of money, they just restructured his contract. And so that just tells you he's going to be there for the foreseeable future. We're talking about 2025, 2026. So right now, they're looking at building. But I will say this: the offensive line before the season started was sketchy, and it held true to being sketchy throughout the season, and it's what got him hurt. And so, come to find out, he played hurt most of the season. He got better, and we won the last 5 of the last six games. And so, and he looked great, and he ended with a pretty decent season. But again, the story's, I guess, not completely told, because we played like 5 of those games with bad teams. So
right. And so it's kind of like the Eagles, who we saw get beat by the Cardinals and just got beat by everybody, including Tampa Bay, and got eliminated in the postseason. And we were actually shocked about that. The league as a whole this season seemed to be like we had the quarterback carousel with a lot of starting backups, a lot of starting rookies for the first time due to injuries of the main quarterbacks. We also saw for performance issues, we've seen some quarterbacks be benched, including Desmond Ridder of the Falcons, and they kind of have a quarterback carousel issue right now and a coaching. And so whenever you have an issue with a change of quarterback as well as a coach, it could be really detrimental to the team. I will say the good thing about the Saints is you guys did get a veteran quarterback, even though you were getting, I think it was your offensive coordinator that was moved up to head coach.
The defensive coordinator was moved to head coach. We're talking Dennis Allen, and the offensive coordinator that was under Sean Payton wasn't really the offensive coordinator. He was more like a pass game specialist or coordinator, and he just wasn't that good. He wasn't that good. He did bits and pieces of what Sean Payton had brought, and so pretty much that showed you that Sean Payton was calling the plays, and he even didn't want to be the offensive coordinator. They pretty much didn't have anybody. They wanted to get somebody else. They couldn't get that person, and so they hired Pete Carmichael, and it just wasn't great.
Yeah,
but Dennis Allen was the defensive coordinator.
Allen. I knew it was Allen, but I could not remember. I have my own problems to focus on and not really what y'all had going on out there. Everybody, I'm sitting down right now with James Martin, New Orleans Saints own fan and original New Orleans resident as well, that now lives in Atlanta just like I do. So it's good to know someone is suffering as much as I am amongst all these birds, amongst the coop. You know what I'm saying? Like, and when they win, it's like you really don't even want to leave your house, because you're like, oh my gosh. And if you're like me, like my license plate is personalized. It has Panthers on it, like my state tag, and then I have a frame. I used to have the flags, but on my newer truck, I was like, it's not even worth me putting the indentation in my window space for that. But yeah, Kevin says car is washed. That's hilarious. Kevin, who was on last night, y'all, Falcons fan. And Anthony says it's a bad move by the Saints organization paying Carr, they would be bad for a long time due to that. So what are your thoughts on that, James? Like the way you guys paid him all this money, now you're invested.
The Saints have a habit of kicking their cans down the road, so to speak, meaning they will go extend beyond the salary cap, but they find a way to be able to get down beneath the salary cap and push money down the road and continue to pay players that aren't even here. I think Drew Brees is still getting paid, for what I understand, but it keeps us relevant. I mean, ultimately, it's like having a credit card. They just keep paying and paying and paying and getting into debt until, ultimately there's a bubble. But I'm pretty sure, I'm glad the bubble hasn't hit yet. But again, to respond to that comment in regards to Derek Carr, I think Derek Carr is a lot better. He may not be worth $160 million, but he's a lot better than some other team's situation. And I think that's what we need right now.
Right. And I'm all familiar with selling the farm, so to speak, because we sold everybody this year, next year, and I don't even know, maybe 26 too, to get Bryce Young, and gave away key players who won. Well, two of them are in the Super Bowl this weekend. Sam Darnold, even though we didn't give him away, he left, but definitely Christian McCaffrey. And then we gave Chicago the number one spot this season, plus DJ Moore. And to be honest, I really felt like DJ Moore was being punished because when the Panthers played the Falcons last year, DJ Moore took his helmet off during the celebration, and they called the touchdown back, and we lost. And I really feel like we would have won. I was at that game. We would have really won that game had he not celebrated. And I think they just never got over that because he was like up and out of here like right away. But everybody, you got to come on here and enjoy. We got New Orleans Saints in the house, Mr. James Martin. So, Jameis Winston, the NFC South journeyman for intensive purposes. I'm thinking he may probably stop by Atlanta and probably Carolina before he's done. Do you guys put him back out there at all? Or are you guys going to pick up another quarterback? Is what I should probably ask you. Great question.
Jameis Winston's time is probably up in New Orleans, just simply by the last play in Atlanta. That was a bit of slap in the face. I mean, he meant well. He meant well to give his teammate a touchdown. But it's just it's a couple of things. An indictment on the coach and just an indictment on Jameis Winston. He can be up and down, streaky. His whole career, he's been like that. I think Jameis Winston gets a bad rap in regards to him being a 30 for 30, known for 30 for 30. But right. He was also in a no biscuit offense where you had to throw a ton of times. He threw for 5,000 yards and 30 touchdowns as well. But being a backup here, he had his run here. He had some bad luck with injuries. And we drafted a quarterback last year in the 4th round, and he has promise. And I think they'll probably draft another quarterback, another mid-tier guy. But Jameis is probably out the door and potentially go to Atlanta. There's a rumor. I mean, he threw it out there that he wouldn't mind going to Atlanta. But I would like to keep him. I'm a fan of Jameis Winston. I'll be honest with you. He may do some clownish things that, outlandish things that you see, but his heart but what you see, the bottom line is that his teammates love him. That's what matters to me. Is that what really is an indictment is how much people go to bat for him. He had a whole bunch of tweets after he made that play from teammates that, that said, I respect everything that he did. So as goofy as he may be, he still has the respect of his teammates. And so that means a lot to me in regards to Jameis.
And that does mean a lot when you have the support of your teammates. Like, honestly, nothing else even matters because it could be the opposite. If your teammates don't like you, or you see a division, we see what happened in Philadelphia when you see the quarterback sitting alone sulking, and you see like even when Dez Bryant was in the league, when he was no longer being targeted by Dak, then you see Dak and CD on the side going, basically Dak going at CD, and you just see the negativity spill over onto the field. So, sometimes it could be professional, but then it's personal, and when the personal comes into play, then the profession as a whole suffers, and we see that across the board basically with anything. So I forgot you guys did draft a quarterback last year. So I really don't know if you guys should be drafting another. I mean, you have Taysom Hill who does all these magician tricks as backup quarterback, backup safety, and backup running back. He plays every position except water boy out there.
Mm-hmm.
Taysom Hill is awesome.
Taysom Hill is he's a jack of all trades, but I would say that same saying that you can be a jack of all trades but a master of none. I mean, as the evidence, the proof is in the pudding. I love Taysom Hill. I love what he's used for, but that has a cap. Taysom Hill is 34 years old now. So the running and ultimately when you get older as a quarterback, like we talk about Lamar Jackson, that's going to get old. Cam Newton, you saw it. He got hurt. It's just that style of play has a short shelf life. And so there's talk about, rumors, potentially him reuniting with Sean Payton in Denver. But he, again, this is another person that we're talking about that's probably going to have to take a pay cut as well because we're $85 million over the cap. So,
talk about a credit card. It's like paying the credit card off and then maxing it back out again. So just a little bit, because we mentioned Sean Payton, and we've seen what he's not done in Denver or what he has done with the issue, the sidebars with Russell Wilson. Sean Payton is an offensive-minded coach, definitely interested in the quarterback. I honestly was surprised that New Orleans and he parted ways.
I think the time was just up for Sean Payton from his perspective. I was really disappointed because, when you're used to winning and you have someone like that, that's just because I'll be honest with you. We had one winning coach outside of Sean Payton, and that was Jim Mora. And we went to the playoffs, yes, 4 times with him. That didn't win a playoff game. I'm a diehard Saints fan. I live and breathe black and gold. And the fact that we won a playoff game with another coach after Jim Mora, but he died out. And then Sean Payton came and he just revitalized not only the team, because New Orleans is a small market, so he revitalized that city.
Right.
Yes, and so just to win, the first year with him, they went 10-6, and they went to the NFC Championship, played the Chicago Bears, lost, mind you, but we went to the NFC Championship. We had never been past the first wild card, and so it was just, Sean Payton, it hurt. It hurt when he left, and I knew he was coming back. I knew he just wanted to get out. I think it was just time. He wasn't winning, and then also. Part of it, you look at Bill Belichick and you look at Tom Brady. It's kind of the same thing. Right. He wasn't winning without Drew Brees. So, and he still hasn't won without Drew Brees. So,
and I'm a Drew Brees fan. Drew Brees is one of my favorite players of all time. Matter of fact, I'm in New Orleans, so visiting.
Are you really?
Yes, love. Been having a lot of time. It rained the day before my birthday. Did not rain on Sunday, and I know Mardi Gras is going around. They moved all the parades up because of the inclement weather, but really nice. So just that's like one of my favorite spots. So how fitting that I would have you on tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, so I honestly, and you're talking about revitalizing the city. Drew Brees has his restaurant here. I hope it's still open. I know he put a lot of money into rebuilding the city after, Katrina and everything. And he was literally like that city's, everything, like with him and Sean Payton, they were that dynamic duo. And I honestly thought that even though Sean Payton left, I thought he was taking a reprieve and he was going to come back. I did not see him going to Denver.
I didn't see him going to Denver, but I knew he would coach again. And I knew he couldn't come back to New Orleans because we had a coach. And I heard, so many. I read the comments. Everybody's thinking that Dennis Allen is holding his position for him until he gets ready. He can come back to New Orleans. I knew it was over, and I think the best thing for the Saints right now is just to start over. We have a good team. We had a good run. We have a good defense, top 10, but they're getting older. And I think at some point we're going to have to either trade a lot of players and just start from scratch if we don't do well this season.
Right. And let me pose something to you. So you guys had Buddy Ryan back in the day. I used to love watching him on the sidelines because he was always, I think he was you guys' defensive coordinator, Rex Ryan's brother.
Rob
Ryan. Yeah, their dad is Buddy. My bad. Their dad is Buddy. Rob Ryan. I used to love watching him looking like Santa Claus over there, and he would get into it with and everything. Well, the word is that Rex wants to come back into the league. I wonder how interesting it would be if he actually ended up being a defensive coordinator for the Saints, where his brother once was. What are your thoughts on that?
That's interesting. I didn't even know Rex was looking at coming back into the league at all.
Yeah, he is.
Wow. Yeah. Given that Dennis Allen is such an excellent defensive-minded coach, I think he would want his own guys. He probably would clash with Rex Ryan. Rex is Dennis is an alpha dog in regards to defense. He may not be a head coach, but when it comes to defense, he's his own man. And Rex is his own man. And I think Rex probably wouldn't want to come back as he would want to come back as a defensive coordinator, but maybe as a head coach first too, because he had success as a head coach as well. So, now would I want to see him as a defensive coordinator? Of course. Rex the proof is in the pudding. He's had success as a defensive coordinator, but I just don't see the match between the two, to be honest with you.
Well, Rex just did an interview with Dallas and as their defensive coordinator. And in fact, Rob vouched for him and said he'd be a great defensive coordinator. So, where there's smoke, there's fire. And if he's already out there actually interviewing, we may actually see him in Dallas. And hello to Linda, producer Linda from Northeast Streaming Sports Platform. She and Mac for this platform that we have. She's saying hello and to everyone. And Kevin has another dig, and I guess I'll put it up here. He's saying he saw the franchise going into the ground. That's just some hate. Whatever. So thank you so much, Linda. Kevin is a Falcon fan, and they need to get them a quarterback at this point. So that's what they need to be trying to take a raffle for that right now. All right. So the draft, I know you guys said you may take another quarterback. Who do you think would be a good quarterback from the draft coming up if they're still available when you guys come up? Because I think you're drafting 10th.
I wish. We are drafting 14th, and I wouldn't take a quarterback at that level unless we moved up. But considering what we need offensive line and defensive line. But I would take a quarterback in the second. We have a number 45. And if Michael Penix was available, I'd take him.
I was just about to bring him up. He's going to be available. He's not going to go in the first 5 because once Michigan played them and he was exposed, and then they talked about how he's had all these injuries, I think it lowered his draft position at that point.
He's a great quarterback, though. You're right. He has those strikes against him in regards to the history of the injuries. And I don't know. I think the game was just a bad game. I think Michigan was just a really good defense.
Yeah, I think they were. And speaking of Michigan, just to put a plug in, what are your thoughts about Coach Harbaugh now coming back to the Chargers, where he played once as a player, and now it's full circle, he's coaching? What are your thoughts on that?
He's a winner. His track record speaks for itself. He was a winner as a player, and he's always been a winner as a coach. And I don't see that changing. I think he's going to he's got a quarterback there established with Justin Herbert. And I think Justin Herbert, he's the coach, Harbaugh, is just what he needs. And he's going to change that system around.
It's odd that we talk about Justin Herbert because there's also a rumor out there that the Chargers may try to trade some draft picks and move up so that they could get J.J. McCarthy, since he's already been coached by Coach Harbaugh, and they could all have a full reuniting.
You said those are rumors?
Yes.
They need to stay rumors.
They do, because that could be like.
There's no way I'm giving up Justin Herbert for that guy. I'm telling you, that guy's not worth a second or third round pick. He's getting hyped, just like
he's comparable to Tom Brady. That's what they're
oh,
saying. I don't know if it's because he went to
pick him in
Michigan.
the 5th round. Then I would say pick him in the 5th round. Then yes,
yeah. So we've seen quarterbacks go later on. Like we saw Will Levis. I actually felt bad for Will in the draft because he got all dressed up and went down there, and everybody just passing by. Finally, Tennessee picked him up, and he really did look good for a while until he threw like 3 bombs in a row, and then we were like, oh, okay. But I always say it's the NFL. There's a difference in being a star in college and then coming to the NFL, and you're playing where everybody is top tier. And in college, you may have a few guys that are top tier, but you're able to stand out because everybody's not top tier. But when you come to the NFL, it's the cream of the crop, and you have to really, really, really bank. CJ Stroud, I have to give accolades to him. He's really, really shined, given the fact that he was paired with the Texans. He brought that team to the postseason, a team that clearly had the weapons they needed and just needed a good quarterback. And here they are, and I expect us to hear a lot from them going forward. But then you talk about the power of having the right team, the right rookie. What are your thoughts on that?
Wow. I mean, that kid's amazing. And not only they had the defensive rookie of the year as well, and Will Anderson from Alabama. So they have a great solid foundation that they're starting with a rookie coach, a rookie quarterback, and a rookie defensive end. Build from there, and the sky's the limit, I think. I mean, they even have, all those receivers. That kid's he's like he's playing at Ohio State again.
Yes, and Lily's college part too. And and we kind of talk about that sometimes with the whole NIL thing. We saw Nick Saban just bounce on out because he didn't like any of that at all. But it's just like, we see that. And hi, cousin Larry June. He's played in the MLB. It's my cousin, but he's in Florida. So hello and thanks for tuning in to you. But I will say this: it's like when you see the NIL deals go up, and then you see a lot of teams just kind of waiting on that top level draft because they're giving so much time of extra play. Quarterbacks getting 7 years now of eligibility, and then you're getting a name and likeness deal that's paying you more than what you would have gotten as a rookie quarterback. Why wouldn't you just stay in the league for college eligibility until whenever? And we've seen it before. We've seen the Johnny Manziels who stand out and then come into the league and personal issues just bombard them down. We've seen Stetson Bennett from Georgia, come in just this last draft, and he's not playing anywhere because of personal issues. So it's kind of hard to find the quarterback that is mentally grounded, like we talk about with CJ, and can physically play. So the physicality plus the mental has to be where it is. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so you're saying New Orleans will probably draft another quarterback. Michael Penix may be on the list, but your O-line, does Alvin Kamara need some help out there, especially with Michael Thomas kind of battling these injuries up and down?
Absolutely. But let's go into why I would think that we would go O-line and why I would think we would maybe draft a defensive player. But I would say the new offensive coordinator that we're getting is currently passing game coordinator for the 49ers, Clint Kubiak. And so we're clearing out coaches and everything for him. So he's coming in, and he's going to want his team, probably his own coaching, quarterback coach. We just lost our quarterback coach. And he's going to want, for his style of play, which is probably going to be similar to what the 49ers present, he's going to want like some zone blocking offensive linemen. And so we had a bust. I'm not saying the kid is a bust, but we had a bust as a player in Trevor Penning last season. We drafted him in the first round along with Chris Olave. But hopefully we can move him inside to guard and draft a tackle. and that would help Alvin Kamara because he's too good of a talent still, and he's still in his prime as a running back. I mean, he's virtually Christian McCaffrey, just with
he is. He is. In fact, he was right ahead when the Panthers and Falcons were like 8-9 or 7-8, and everybody was shocked we picked Christian because Alvin was up first. Like we literally had the first pick, and we picked Christian over Alvin, and now I guess it doesn't matter because Christian is, we ran him down, and he still is soaring out there now in San Francisco. But you mentioned Chris Olave. He is phenomenal. Chris Olave was a great pick for you guys. What do you see for him going forward into the next season?
Oh, if Clint Kubiak is coming here, and if he's he's anything like Shanahan out there in San Francisco, I see Chris Olave. He's had 2,000-yard seasons, and I think he'll have more than that, maybe 1,500 yards, maybe 100 receptions.
Yeah,
and probably 10 TDs.
Yeah, it's definitely big, to see them and to see the comeback. I have to mention it's the comeback of the Saints, because to have Drew Brees and then shortly after Sean Payton leave, like to me, it seemed like one and the same at the same time, even though it really wasn't. It's literally like the two pillars of the team left. And so you guys literally were in the rebuild, but not for long. Like, you guys bounced right back to where you are. And the competitiveness with the Falcons, there is the Falcons needing a quarterback, but now they have Raheem Morris. The Falcons are projected with Raheem Morris to basically run the table and probably go on up, to hear them tell it, on up to the NFC Championship. What are your thoughts on that, notwithstanding the rival?
Okay. I'll try not to be biased. I think the Falcons have a really good team right now, and they have an excellent core running backs. They have good wide receivers. They were just lacking with the quarterback. I think if they get a good quarterback right now, they'll be very competitive. Now and then they also, not only did they pick up Raheem Morris, who's a good defensive coordinator, because they have a good defensive team. They have Zach Robinson. They pulled him from the Rams. So I mean, those guys were friends. So because he was interviewing for the Saints as well, but I knew he wasn't coming. Once Raheem Morris came there, I said that guy's going to follow right behind him. Those guys are friends. Yes, and lo and behold, that's what happened. So I think if they get a free agent quarterback, or if they draft a quarterback, and I mean, obviously they'll have stability with the team. Because Raheem Morris, he's got a track record where he has not a mediocre career as a head coach, but I say about half and half, because he had a couple of good seasons when he was in Tampa, but he had some bad ones, which is what got him fired. And then of course he was a defensive coordinator for the Falcons, and was the interim coach, but didn't get the job. They let him walk out the building. So we'll see what happens. I think again, if those things happen, they will be much better, much improved. I'll give them that.
And speaking of the Falcons, I do have to put a plug in. So Arthur Blank has finally come out and spoken about this whole Belichick interview situation. We've read and heard on numerous media outlets where Bill Belichick came in, was trying to basically take control. So basically they didn't hire him. And then we had other outlets saying that Belichick was offered the job, but he turned it down. Then someone was like, Arthur never offered him the job. Well, Arthur Blank came out today and said none of those things are true. He said he's 2,000% saying that Belichick did not come in and try to assert control, that they just had 14 other candidates and they went with a different candidate. So it wasn't anything about, the whole, vibe of him trying to be a general manager and a coach. So I just wanted to put that out there because that came out this afternoon. And so, good luck to all of them. Bill Belichick is still coachless. Now, I do have to ask your opinion on the Panthers picking Dan Canolis from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and now bringing over their offensive coordinator. Do you think that would even help us? Or like we just basically focus on the next 2 years of rebuilding with bringing in O linemen?
I'm going to stick with the latter, what you just said. I mean, it's time to rebuild, and it's unfortunate that you have a owner that, like, wow, like he fired Frank Wright. I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know he was gone because I wasn't watching the Panthers like that until I said, "Where's Frank Wright?" And I said, "Oh, he got fired."
He got right out of there.
I mean, what is it? I mean, I don't understand that, because typically what makes sense is that, okay, knowing what you're going in from, and I also understand they didn't want that quarterback.
Yep.
They wanted Stroud.
They fired him, even though he wasn't even the one that chose him. So it was like a double whammy.
And I'm not going to blame the quarterback either. It's just, what type of situation are you putting that guy in? I mean, it's a no-win situation. That line was bad. The team is just not good. And you gave the form up for that guy. Like you said, you gave the form up. And it hurts even more, the fact that team got your first number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, the same team we got it from, we're giving it right back to them. So it's almost like they knew somebody did their homework. Somebody in the Bears organization did their homework. Like, yeah, it sounds like, but don't worry, guys, we're going to get it right back, because trust me, look at their stats for this. Look at their stats for this. Like, they literally vetted their information, and it was like, yep, here you go. And then on top of that, you took DJ Moore. I don't even know what the bonus on that was, because they didn't even need him. They really did not need to release him. And apparently Chicago asked for him. Like, the Panthers really were not trying to give him up. They were just trying to do like switch. And I still don't know why. I still haven't figured out how Christian got in San Francisco. I still don't figure that part of. I have looked and I cannot figure it out. So if anybody's viewing right now and knows the gist of all that, please drop that in the comments. And hello, everybody that's coming on. I'm sitting down with James Martin, New Orleans Saints fan, and looks like Fern has a comment. He says, I have a question for James Martin. Here's the next question. He says, do you think the Panthers will have a faster rebuild than the Saints? Okay. It's so funny, because Fern is a Giants fan. You see him on the platform, but he's digging right now, because honestly, the Saints have already started rebuilding. But thank you, Fern. I don't know. I knew Tapper, like I've always said, runs the same. He has he owns the Charlotte soccer team as well, and he's doing the same thing. And kind of like you guys are paying Drew Brees, we're paying Steel Cam, we're paying Matt Rule, we're paying Steve Wilkes, we're paying like another quarterback. I don't know, it's like a lot of money. I feel like I just need to go down there and suit up so I can get fired after 1 or 2 games and just get a check at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I get kicking the can down the road, but having success with it, it's a gamble. But I mean, to have success with it is what matters, because you must feel that if you're going to kick the can down the road, you feel that your team has potential to win in like that particular season or the next. You feel like you might be competitive. But I don't get how he must have thought that they're competitive with those moves that they made these past couple of seasons, man. Wow.
Yeah, we've been in rebuild, honestly, since we went to the Super Bowl, and it's just getting more and more difficult. Like, as much as I want to be a fan, I've never seen a 2, and I don't even know how many games it was anymore after the 2 losses. 2 and whatever it was. We had an extra week, I guess 2 and 16. Golly. I have no words. Like, speechless is an understatement. And to be fair, like, I have my all-female fan club that started out with like 12,000 ladies. Like, this is a club I've had since 2014. It's international, because we have a lot of ladies that are military connected. So they've told, people about it, and they're all Panthers fans. And now we're down to 7,500. So we've had an exodus of like 5,000 people, because, let's face it, people are tired of losing. And, you get Bryce Young, and you think about in a different situation, a different team, how he would flourish. A lot of people always ask me what I think if CJ had came to Carolina, what the difference would have been. I don't think we would have lost as many games. I'll be honest about that, just because of the difference in the quarterback, like just across the board. But I don't think we would have been in the postseason like he was with Texas. So all things work the way they should. And, God bless CJ clearly because he's where he's supposed to be.
Right. Absolutely.
So,
Go,
no, go ahead.
I was going to say that, again, Bryce has a couple things going against him. He's for one, he's not the typical stature of a quarterback that you want. I mean, I'm 5'10", so I would look him eye to eye. And that's as quarterback, that's short.
Yeah.
Yes. And he's
yeah. I don't think he's 5'10".
You think he's shorter than that?
Yes. They always say the NFL gives you an inch. Baker Mayfield is 5'10". And I think that Bryce is probably more. They have him listed, I think it's 5'9". I think he's probably 5'8". He's probably, yeah.
Well, at the combine, when they don't lie about that. College typically will exaggerate a little bit, maybe 2 to 3 inches, but you have no choice. If you're going to the combine, they put you right there with no shoes on and measure you from toe to head. And I think he was around 70 inches, which is about 5'10". But either way, that's short. That's short for quarterback.
Yeah, you got to get those passes over. They're going to get batted down every time. I remember even with Baker being with the team, I remember thinking like, why do we have Baker Mayfield? He's, I'm so used to Cam. Cam being a big body and being tall and making sure those passes got over, the line. Like these passes, you got to drop back if you're that height. You have to be able to drop back, come out of the pocket, and there's no way with the O-line collapsing and basically helping the other team that Bryce or even Baker could drop back successfully without being collapsed on. Like they would have to drop way back, potentially lose yards, because if they drop back just a little, the O-line collapses on them. So they have to drop back 5 yards just to distance themselves to get the pass off. So, and thus that's why we were running Christian McCaffrey down so much, because they weren't confident in just, the pass game.
Wow. Yeah. Drew Brees was actually like 5'11", 6 foot. Yep. So if you look back, he actually used to stand on his toes to look above the lineman. Yes.
Yeah, but Drew is definitely a skillman. Now, what are your thoughts on Tampa? Looks like Baker's going to stay. However, Mike Evans is a free agent or what have you. I know that Carolina was trying to get him. But Baker came out and said the other day, that he wants Mike. He wants Mike to come back. Like he can't see himself playing without, Mike Evans. So if they do end up getting rid of, or I shouldn't say getting rid of, if they do, release Mike Evans or allow him to be traded, what do you think Tampa barely won the South? Let's be clear. You guys were all a game apart. And I think they finished at 532 for the season. Everybody else was like below 500. 500. Yeah, because everybody else was like below 500. It's hard to think about that.
I think that it would be a huge mistake if they let Mike out the building. Mike Evans has had 1,000 yards for every season that he's been there. He's been their rock at a receiver. And there's no way I could see them letting him leave the building. Now, they have the other wide receiver that plays slot. I can't think of his name right now. Godwin. Oh. Mm-hmm. Yes, but one doesn't work without the other. Mike is always, before Godwin got there, Mike has been established. So, and of course, James was throwing to him. But I don't think that they should let him go. That he was a rock for Baker Mayfield anyway this season. He threw to Chris Godwin, but there's no way. If Mike leaves, you have to get somebody in free agency. I don't see many out there that will be as competitive as Mike. And then you have to go to the draft. Now, the draft does have some quality wide receivers that are available. But again, it's a crapshoot. You don't know what you're getting when you get somebody. Mike is established. And so I would think it'd be a huge mistake if they let him go.
And everyone that's coming on, don't forget to check this out on Roku. Also, you go on and download the Roku app, look for Northeast Streaming Sports, and they have over 60 shows, 24/7 sports without the cost of cable. So make sure you check them out and follow them on all social media platforms. So, James, we got to kind of propel a little bit to the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, neither one of us have a dog or cat in the fight. Your thoughts on the Super Bowl? Do you have a particular favorite? Are you looking forward to the Super Bowl?
As you said, I have no dog in this hunt. And now, whether I think somebody's going to win, of course somebody's going to win. One team has to win. 49ers are a complete team. And I think that Kansas City is a complete team as well. So I think they match up pretty well. I think the 49ers have better linebacking core. I think the 49ers have, and the Kansas City Chiefs match up well evenly with their offensive lines. I think defensive back match up evenly well. I think the wide receivers and with tight ends, I would have to give tight ends both. Kittle versus Kelsey. I think they're both excellent tight ends. I think the mismatch is the quarterback. As much as Brock Purdy's been getting all the press, I think he got exposed when he played against the Ravens. I thought the Ravens lit him up. And I think that there's a wreck. I mean, Chris Jones, that plays on the defensive line for the Kansas City Chiefs, is a wrecking ball, and he's gonna expose them in the middle. But the one person you can't bet against is Patrick Mahomes, and he has the experience. I mean, one caveat is that distractions, and we can go back to Atlanta, Kevin. Back in '98 when Eugene Robinson got busted with some stripper.
Oh, wow, you went way back.
No, I'm gonna give him the business.
I was in college when that happened.
Right. Now, with that said, Patrick Mahomes' father recently got a DUI, and that could be a distraction because I think that's not his first time, and there's a potential for jail time for that. So that could be a distraction.
Third time's a charm. Third time you're a habitual offender, and the law is you are now a felon if convicted. And so you're looking at prison time, not just jail time. And the last time he was arrested, he served 40 days on a 2019 conviction. And so for him to have another one, I think it's like you get so many within DUIs, I think it's 10 years, but some states are 5 years. And so, and not only that, he had an open container, and and basically said, so that is a serious distraction, because I think another ailment maybe he may not even be able to attend the Super Bowl even if he wanted to, because when you're on bond, you typically cannot leave the jurisdiction of the court or the agency in which you were arrested.
Wow.
Yeah, so
it's going to come up. I was saying, it's going to come up. It's going to come up.
So he was already asked about it a couple of days ago, and he was very direct but short about it. He was like, it's a family matter, and I just want to deal with it another time. But the media being who they are, they're gonna stir because they wouldn't be the media without that. And on the flip side, we have the whole Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift thing, prop bets, or if they're gonna get engaged, blah blah blah, and then. They're just looking for anything. So it's almost like you're on the biggest platform, biggest stage in the world right now. You cannot, and unfortunately, even your family members and loved ones and cohorts cannot have any issues prior to the game. So I feel like he probably has to compartmentalize this at a minimum right now, at least for the next 48 hours until he can get through the game.
I agree wholeheartedly with that. I just think that ultimately he needs to make sure that he stays focused, and his team needs to rally around him during this situation because it's one or done. I mean, win and go home. A loss. Yeah. I mean, nope. And nobody really remembers number 2 or number 3. Yes, absolutely. So, oh, yes, you have.
Yeah,
Yes.
only that team remembers, like, well, we were runner-up. Yeah, there's no runner-up trophy for you. This is not the Miss America pageant. And so, it's to win or go home. And I had Stephanie Marie on here. She's a 49ers fan a couple of weeks ago, and she said something that I never forgot. She said the Super Bowl is the one game that you don't have a series to win. In the MLB, there's a series. In the NBA, there's a series, best of 7, whatever. And the Super Bowl is one and done. And that's it. Like, all or nothing for 60 minutes plus whatever the replay time is going to be, because it's not even 60 minutes anymore. But sometimes people have said the halftime show of the Super Bowl is so long, sometimes it contributes to the fatigue or the momentum, I should say, of the teams. Like, we look at when Atlanta lost to the Patriots. Now, James White did die that pass and got it and everything, and they won the game. And they really should not have allowed Thomas Brady to come back like that. But they said they attributed it to the halftime being so lengthy that basically they lost their momentum. They were, basically chillaxing. What are your thoughts on that? Because we know Usher's performing this weekend. Reba McEntire is singing the national anthem. They got a whole plethora of folks up there. My personal favorite of the Super Bowl was when they did it in LA and had Dre and the whole West Coast. I mean, that was gangster to me. They had a West Coast and have Mary J. Like, to me, I have it recorded. That is my favorite halftime show of all time. What are your thoughts? I know I said a gang right there. I got a little hyped up. Sorry about that, James.
No, absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, most people don't watch the game for the game. They watch it for the commercials and for the halftime show. But I think, yes, you're taking away from the game to some degree. If you're distracting, you're lingering in the locker room. It could be, man, we got to win this game. You could be out overthinking what you're going to do to make sure you maintain a lead, or how you're going to come back. But ultimately, I think these guys, they've been there. They've done that, especially for the Kansas City Chiefs and for the 49ers. This is a rematch. So they've been here. So you just got to get out there and play your game like you've been playing all year.
But the thing is, it's a rematch. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, James. I kind of was about to plug in something.
No, please go ahead. No, I just say there's no excuses. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, no excuses. And hi, Karen, coming on. She says hi to both of us. It is the same team as a rematch, but it's not the same team. Brock Purdy, we didn't see him there. Christian McCaffrey wasn't there. There's a few people. Now, the constant is Patrick Mahomes. And I think this is going to be where we see veteran versus not a rookie, but kind of a rookie. Because last year, with the injuries, they got eliminated before they got to the big stage. I just feel like it's going to, my whole score prediction was like 21-14, a whole touchdown, maybe not even a touchdown, maybe 3. I don't think it's going to be high scoring because both teams are so defensive. What are your thoughts on that?
I think both teams are defensive, but the game has been set up to where offensive scores. So, and you got these two teams, they're offensive juggernauts. So I think it's going to be not high scoring, but I would say mid-tier in 20s. I would say 27-24. 3-point game.
Yeah. That. Right. Patrick Mahomes has been perfect in the postseason. No interceptions. I saw that producer Linda put on her Facebook earlier today, what if the Super Bowl goes overtime and Patrick finally throws that one interception, cost them the game? I'm kind of ad-libbing on the end there, but I really got the 49ers. I mean, they're the NFC. I want the NFC to win it. I of course, partial to Christian McCaffrey being a former Panther. And then now they got Sam Darnold out there, of course, that's a former Panther. But I just want the 49ers to win. I have a lot of friends that are, quest for the 6. My godbrother is a diehard 49ers fan. And I'm just tired of, now I like Travis Kelce, but I don't care for Patrick Mahomes. It's probably like the equation of people getting sick of Tom Brady.
I got it. Absolutely. And what I would say for you, if you want the 49ers to win, just ask Kadarius Toney to play. If Kadarius Toney plays and he
Tony.
steps off all sides, then it'll probably be a win for the 49ers.
Darius Toney may not play. You know, he had that whole Instagram rant, and then he went out there and said, I don't even know what y'all talking about. My hips and everything, I'm not injured. So Andy Reid came out a couple of days ago and was like, basically, it's a game time decision. They don't know. They're still going under the guise that he is injured. But Kadarius Toney is like one of their big weapons. So I don't want him to play, honestly.
He's going to get cut. If anytime you see that type of action that was put out there by the coach or by the brass, I mean, and it all happened after that play, and you can see how upset that Mahomes was. I mean, they won the game. They won that game. They won that game, and if it wasn't for that play, I mean, you have to know that's just boneheaded play. You have to know where you are at all times. That's just not that wasn't the last thing. That's something he's been doing all year, and it's something he did when he was in New York. He's just not cognizant of what he's doing and playing. It's just it's sad because you get this opportunity. Like you said, the cream rises to the top. He has the talent. He just doesn't have it up here to be consistent.
And we've seen that with Antonio Brown. And even I think Baltimore lost the game because of Zay Flowers. And even yesterday it came out he's being investigated for some domestic assault now. So he's fighting people, off the field. And I think he got arrested or is being investigated for that. But that was a bonehead play by Zay Flowers. You're taunting somebody, you're trying to stay in the game, and then right after that, you're the one that didn't even make the catch, and then you're over there busting your hand up. So all around, it's bonehead decisions. So at the end of the day, it's going to come down to who protects the ball, protects the rock, who makes the least amount of penalties and gets everything done with that, because this is going to be a very close game. This is going to be a good game for all intents and purposes. I'm sorry it wasn't Lamar Jackson and Dan Campbell. I really was pulling for this team that has never gone to the Super Bowl, but we have what we have, and I think we're good for a good football game. So you gave the prediction of in the 20s. Vegas has the 49ers winning 2.5 points.
Well, don't bet against the house. The house always wins. So that might go in the favor of the 49ers. But again, I always say don't bet against Mahomes. So
yes,
I think
never bet against Mahomes is definitely how it goes across the board. And so unfortunately, I feel like we may be looking for number 3 for Patty. And but I'm would be so excited if the 49ers get this. I'll be excited. I know that Falcons fans really have like this hate relationship with Kyle Shanahan, so they don't want him to win anything because they feel like, he sabotaged their Super Bowl by leaving their playbook at the airport. But Kevin was on last night. He said he hopes Shanahan actually wins, so I don't know. I just know it's going to be a West Coast matchup, so to speak, with the two, I guess Kansas is kind of Midwest. And we'll just have to wait and see. But James, it's been really good having you on tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to everyone that came on and commented and showed love and everything. This is my last solo show before the big show comes on. But I probably have a special post-game presentation right after the Super Bowl Sunday. And of course, I'm on the Sunday morning sports show with Jim Jeffcoat, Mac, and Jack Hags on this station on Roku on Northeast Streaming Sports. And with that, we will bid everyone a good night.
This is Northeast Streaming Sports.